In this neighborhood, a brown-skinned child touching the grass is seen as a threat, while the one shouting at him is called a protector of order. Liam just wanted to run barefoot through the morning light. But before his laughter could fade, Karen Whitmore stood in his path. Phone raised, face tight with authority. "Rules are rules," she said, filming him like a criminal. "No playing on the lawn." Maria, his mother, walked over quietly. "He's just a kid, Karen. It's grass, not gold." But her voice met a wall of disdain. "We have standards here. You people should try following them." Later that day, a picture of Liam appeared in the HOA group chat with the caption, "Keeping our neighborhood safe." Neighbors scrolled past, some uneasy, most silent. And in that silence, something cracked, small but deep enough for prejudice to slip through. But in communities painted white with the promise of safety, those tiny cracks always lead to a collapse waiting to happen. A special meeting was called that evening. Karen sat at the center of the table, a stack of papers in front of her like sacred law. She cleared her throat and began reading her new rules. No children playing outside, no plants that disrupt the aesthetic, no cooking with strong odors. The room was quiet. Neighbors exchanged glances, some uneasy, others afraid to speak. Karen's voice carried the weight of fake authority as she waved her stamped flyers. "I represent the county board," she claimed, her tone sharp, certain. "These rules protect our property values." A few nodded, pretending to agree. Most just wanted the meeting to end. But Maria watched her closely. The way power clung to Karen like cheap perfume, the way her eyes searched the room for submission. The smell of control filled the air. Sweet at first, then sour. And like every small kingdom built on delusion, Silverwood Estates began to tremble from its very foundation. A black neighbor finally spoke up. "Karen, you don't have the authority to change the law." Karen's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Keep talking," she said softly. "I'll be sure to report your dog for being off-leash." The words hung in the air like smoke. Chairs creaked, but no one moved. One by one, eyes turned away. Not in agreement, but in fear. The kind of fear that keeps people quiet, even when they know what's right. Maria said nothing. She simply lifted her phone and began recording. The glow of the screen was small, but it felt like light in a dark room. She didn't argue. She listened. She studied the rhythm of Karen's voice, the arrogance dripping from every pause. In her silence, there was no submission, only calculation. Every petty tyrant believes they're invisible until someone starts recording every word they say. Maria went home and opened her laptop. The truth unfolded in quiet horror. The HOA charter Karen flaunted was forged. The county seal had been crudely copied, and Karen's name appeared neatly typed beside term extension. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard for a moment before she attached the files to an email. The message was simple. "We have a problem." It was sent to Mark Delaney, lawyer, old friend, and the one person she could trust. On her desk, a small badge caught the light. Judicial Department, confidential investigator. The reflection washed over her face, calm but certain. Maria wasn't just a mother defending her son anymore. She was the law, quiet, patient, and waiting for the right moment to strike. And when real justice begins to move, forgery has nowhere left to hide. The next morning, Karen struck back. A bright orange notice was taped to Maria's front door. HOA violation, trespassing on association property, $500 fine. By noon, new cameras pointed straight at Maria's windows. Karen's email followed soon after. Any resident opposing HOA policy will be subject to property record review. That night, the smell came first. Sharp, chemical, unnatural. Karen had poured something across Maria's lawn, claiming it was proof of environmental neglect. The grass hissed softly under the burn. From across the street, Karen smiled to herself, the satisfaction of control glowing in her eyes. For the first time, her madness no longer seemed ridiculous. It wasn't the tantrum of a petty ruler anymore. It was a crime, deliberate, calculated, and personal. And when power crosses the line of reason, the law has no choice but to step in. Karen dialed 911, her voice trembling with practiced fear. "That woman is threatening me," she cried. Within minutes, flashing lights painted the quiet street. When the officer arrived, Karen clutched her chest like a victim in distress. But the officer, a black man with steady eyes, didn't buy the performance. His gaze moved from the scorched grass to the camera aimed across the street, then back to Karen's smirk. Maria stepped forward, calm and wordless. From her pocket, she revealed her badge. Judicial Department, confidential investigator. The silence that followed was heavier than any shout. The officer nodded slowly. "Ma'am," he said, turning to Karen, "you've just filed a false report." Karen froze. For the first time, the mask slipped, and the crowd watching from their porches said nothing. No one defended her. From that moment on, every lie Karen had ever told began turning into evidence. Karen walked into the courtroom with her head high, clutching a binder of official documents. The pages were printed in Comic Sans, the stamps glittering in pink and gold. She placed them on the table like trophies. Maria entered quietly, Mark Delaney at her side. When the judge asked for identification, Maria didn't speak. She set her badge on the desk, plain, silver, undeniable. The room went still. The judge leaned forward. Karen's confidence flickered, her smile tightening as she realized the balance had shifted. "I'm a certified investigator with the county court," Maria said evenly. The color drained from Karen's face. Her hands trembled as she reached for her papers, suddenly aware of how absurd they looked under real light. The courtroom no longer belonged to her fantasy. The self-proclaimed keeper of order now stood before the very system she mocked. Justice doesn't need to shout. It only needs one real name to make a false one crumble. Maria placed the evidence on the table. Video clips, forged invoices, fake certifications, every lie tied neatly together. The courtroom screens flickered with proof. Karen's voice cracked as she tried to explain, calling it a small administrative misunderstanding. The judge didn't raise his voice. "You abused your position. You forged documents. You harassed residents. And you filed a false police report." Each word landed with weight. Karen's shoulders sank lower, her hands twisting in silence. The glitter-stamped papers that once made her feel powerful now looked like relics of delusion. "In your community," the judge continued, calm but unshakable, "no one stands above the law." Karen's face crumpled. Tears welled, desperate and hollow. But no one in the room moved to comfort her. The neighbors who once obeyed her rules now looked away, ashamed of ever listening. When a manipulator loses her audience, the fall isn't sudden, it's inevitable. The sound of metal echoed softly as the cuffs closed around Karen's wrists. Her crisp white sleeve brushed the table, now stained with ink and dust. Outside, the red and blue lights flashed against the courthouse glass. Reporters gathered like witnesses to the end of a small empire. The headlines spread fast. HOA President arrested for fraud and harassment. Neighbors who once bowed to her authority stood in silence. No anger, no pity, just the quiet relief of people finally unburdened. Across the street, Maria stepped out with Liam in her arms. She set him down on the same patch of grass once forbidden. He ran freely, barefoot, laughter ringing through the air like the sound of freedom itself. For the first time, no one stopped him. No warnings, no rules, no threats. Only sunlight, open sky, and the simple truth that freedom doesn't need permission. And as the child's laughter returned, the fear that once ruled the neighborhood disappeared. A week later, the neighborhood gathered again. This time, there were no nameplates, no stacks of violation forms, no voices raised in fear. Just a circle of neighbors, calm and equal. They voted to dissolve the old HOA and form something new, the Fair Neighbors Community Board. Maria sat quietly at the back, but when her name was called, every hand lifted in agreement. She would serve as an honorary advisor, not because of power, but because of trust. A new sign soon appeared at the gate, simple and clear. Community means everyone. The lawns were still green, the fences unchanged, yet the air felt different. Lighter, honest, human. Karen's name remained only in an archived file, a lesson tucked away. But her story echoed through every porch and yard, a reminder that justice doesn't need a title, only people brave enough to say, "That's enough."